our dear viewers, and welcome to our first segment in the breakfast show for today. We are going to talk about maturity, which is not a matter of age, but instead of how you choose to respond and react to the life situation. For more details about maturity and how we can cope with life in a mature and reasonable way, regardless of all the challenges that we are facing nowadays. We are very much delighted to be joined in the studio by Ms. Dalia Ashmawy, Executive Communication Coach. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much.
Dalia, can you start with telling us what is maturity in general?
So maturity is a big word. So most of the time we think that when we grow up, we will be mature automatically. But the reality is that there are many problems that we face starting from our childhood that really affect how mature we are in regards to all the things that we are facing in our life. We are talking about your work. We are talking about your relationship. We are talking about your relationship with your kids. So maturity is not just being old so that you get it. Maturity is when you can control your own fears, when you can be able to see what are the main problems that you have in your life, what are the things that are affecting your relationship, whether we are talking about family relationships, personal relationships, kids. So it's a lot of many things that makes the person really capable of reacting and acting in his life towards all the problems that they are facing.
Yes. Can we say that it could differ from one person to another? The situation that we are surrounding with, the challenges that we do face in our lives, the trauma that we might be facing, or the life experiences, it makes us a more mature person, or it could lead to maybe a less mature person. How that could be shaped?
Many problems that you face starting from your childhood until you grow up, until you die, most of these problems are actually coming through your mindset. So we have to work on changing our mindset, because you have your mind and you have the subconscious mind. Most of the decisions that we do in our life and most of the traumas that we have, actually it started in the subconscious mind. Even with a trauma, if a child has a trauma when he was a child and he suppressed this trauma, or the family kept telling him, it's okay, things will pass, don't think about it that way, it's actually inside. So sometimes this trauma might come out as being aggressive, being immature, being not capable of taking some decision in their life. So the more you see and you look inside yourself, the more you can understand where you are. And that's why we always tell the people that you have to differentiate between what the thought is telling you in your mind and how you can control this thought. So, for example, we are sitting now in this interview, and when I'm talking, actually I'm thinking about something else, or I said something that can trigger inside you something that you know that this is something makes you feel a bit of negative or something like that. Automatically what happens is that your mind will keep thinking about the negative problem all the time. So you are controlled by the negative thought. When you are controlled with the negative thought, you start believing this thought. So you end up being in this negative status. But what we always tell the people, when you have a negative thought and you want to be really mature enough to control the thought, is that don't suppress the thought, because the moment you say, I don't want to think about that, you will keep thinking about that. So we welcome the thought. It's like sometimes you say, tell the thought as if it's someone coming to your home, thank you so much for the gift, or some, thank you so much for coming, but now please leave because I have other things that I have to do. So the idea of controlling your mindset, the idea of understanding the difference between the thought, how you think, is this something that comes from your subconscious mind because you have, as you said, a trauma before, or it's actually something that you need to act? Because our brains, we are functioning as humans normally. When you have fear, it's because you want to protect yourself. So your subconscious mind, when you fear something, it's trying to protect you from any harm. So that's why we tell people, in order to be mature, you have to take risks. You have to challenge yourself. You have to think. So whenever we have a problem, think about it like 10 seconds, for example, and see how you can react when you have this thought. So understanding your mindset, understanding that there is something called the subconscious mind inside your mind that is actually directing you throughout your life, will make you think a bit about all the things that are happening in your life.
Is it easy to try to work on yourself in order to try to reach the stage of controlling our thoughts and controlling our behavior, because sometimes we just react unconsciously, or we start to be more aggressive or more violent or whatsoever due to the challenges or the situations that we did face in our lives. So how we can start to work on that? What are the tips here that we could work on?
I always say that practice makes perfect. Like anything in life, you need to practice understanding first what the fear is coming. What is this voice inside you in your subconscious mind telling you? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel that there is something bad happened to you? So you have to put yourself first in the position of understanding where the problem is, what's the core of it. So understanding this is number one. So you have to really dig deep inside you why I feel this feeling. The problem is that most of the time, Mahisti, we don't understand the difference between, we just say like, I'm happy or sad. These are the only two emotions that we always react when someone tells you, are you happy or are you sad? But there are other things that deep inside you can be affecting all the things that you are acting and reacting to. So acknowledging what is the problem, first of all, understanding that it's okay to feel these kind of feelings, so giving yourself the credit to feel negative, it's okay to feel negative, and then act upon it. Am I gonna be leaving this negative thought to control me in a sense, or I'll be able actually to fight the thought and act in a positive way? So it's all about thinking and giving yourself time to understand your mind more.
Life brings, of course, many challenges, many tricks. However, there are differences between, as we said, a mature and immature person that will try to understand the situation or that person before reacting. Do you try to understand each situation before reacting or taking major decisions in your life? And how we can say that this person is mature because he did take this decision, or he is immature because he did not take this decision? How we can judge here, and is it a definite right or wrong?
There is nothing right and wrong, and there is nothing black and white in life. So we have all the shades of gray,
So
as they say.
who can judge this person is a mature person or not?
The situations and the reactions to these situations. And this comes with practice. Definitely 10 years ago, when you look to yourself 10 years ago, you won't find the same person that is actually now in front of you. So you have to be able to control the thought, act upon it, but there is no one to judge you in this sense. This is the problem in our society, is that we want to label people. We want to say that this person is mature, this person is not mature. Maybe sometimes I'll be mature in a situation and I'll be told a child, not even reacting in another situation. So it depends on you, it depends on how you see yourself, and you have to have this self-love inside you to the extent that I know what I want in my life, this is my path, and I'm going to be controlling where I'm going. This is the most important thing. But to try to label people or to try to go to someone who tells you, but you should have acted this way, no, he's not in your shoes. He's not the same person as you. So people react differently, but the most important thing is that to keep your peace and to know that I'm doing the maximum that I can do to solve this problem so that it doesn't affect the way I react in my life after that.
What challenges do people face to move forward? Or what's your vision here for the challenges that might shape the person's character or maturity in particular?
It's basically being stuck in the subconscious mind or being stuck in your negative and past. We always think of the past. We always think of the nostalgia. We always think that we don't want to be in this place. We want to go back to another place. So the idea of being stuck in the past or escaping from facing the problems that you have, these are the two things that would really ruin anyone's life. So you have to actually think in it that the past is a past experience already. It happened. I don't need to give it a lot of time and attention from my own subconscious mind. Second, I have to live the present that I'm in. So I'm enjoying now this moment with Mahisti here in the studio. I will only think about that. When I leave the studio and I start facing another challenge in my life, I will give it its time and think about it. Putting the future, most of us, sadly, that we always think about the future and the past, and we don't live the present. So living the present, understanding that the future is not in our hands. We don't know what will happen tomorrow. So focus in the moment, focus in what you want to achieve in your life now, and be okay with things going bad or things that are changing. One also of the things that we train a lot of people is that we have two types of minds. We have the fixed mind and the growth mind. When you are in the status of the fixed mind, you only have one direction to your life. So, for example, you will only see that this is the only exit from the studio.
Yes.
So your fixed mind is telling you that this is the only exit. The growth mind is telling you that what if this exit is closed today? Where can I go out? Are you accepting the idea that there might be another exit to the studio or not? This kind of being flexible in your life and changing how you act is very important.
Sorry for interruption here, but sometimes we find people that might be somehow stuck, or maybe they are afraid of change. They are more stuck to their comfort zone. So how can we make change here, and how we can see that this change could be a real start for a new life or a real life for them?
This is a very important question. It reminds me actually with a book that I read years ago called Who Moved My Cheese? Who Moved My Cheese is a very nice book. It started actually, it's a business actually story, but it's done in a very, very comic way about two little boys and two mice. So there is this, they are stuck in a place and the cheese is already finished. So there is no cheese left. So the two mice, they are doing, they are keep searching for where they can find the cheese. This is how animals are living. The two little people, one of them started to have this fixed mind that I'm gonna die, I don't have food, there is nothing I can do about it, where are we gonna be having another cheese? The other one kept saying, let's go and search, maybe we find. So this hope that you have inside you, this fixed mind that you can change, that things are changing maybe for the better. Take the risk, take an action in your life. Don't keep yourself in this prison that I don't have. So I would recommend that everyone really, it's a very small book, there's a version in Arabic also, but it really changed my mind in how you think about. This book was a business actually author. He did it for organizations when privatization started and the IT started to take control in a lot of companies. People started to feel, no, I won't be able to work on the computer. I only know how to use numbers and a calculator. I won't be able to use that. So this fixed mindset made a lot of people leave their jobs. If they were able to practice and understand and learn a new actually skill, they would have mastered it. So this idea is all about the fear, and you have to get out of your comfort zone and this fear.
Yeah, of course what you say is perfect, but on the ground, it's quite difficult to be applied.
It's very difficult.
Or to apply it on ourselves. So what's your tips here, Dalia, for people? Because sometimes due to the challenges, due to the economic hardship that we are facing, many challenges, especially after the COVID, so people are more scared and more skeptical and maybe more stuck to their places because they have a fear of any changes because of maybe the obligations that they do have in their lives. So how we could do the change while we are afraid of taking the risk here?
I really loved the idea that you mentioned COVID, because actually during the COVID time, everyone was panicking. The first phase always will be the panic and the fear. You don't know what to do. It's something new and you don't know what to do. So you have to, here again, two things to think about. Either I will be in the fixed mindset that, oh my God, we are stuck, there's nothing we can do, or you can change the perspective of how you are doing business. And we have seen a lot of online businesses that started to flourish actually during the COVID time. We started to see companies are accepting that they can have Zoom meetings. You don't have to go to your office and they can actually work. Until now, even after the COVID now, a lot of people are actually still working with this shifting,
somehow to working
shifting
from
the
home,
mindset.
Yes.
So this is the idea. If you want to be successful, you have to change the mindset. And what is, I always say that we are there on earth because we always change, we adapt. By nature, humans adapt to change. So the idea that you have to accept, so I will say accept first what you are in, acknowledge that there's nothing in your hands that you can do to control it. Number 3, start thinking about what opportunities and other things that I can add in my life to overcome this. If every one of us give yourself like 10 seconds to think about it before you react, you will discover that there are a lot of options that you didn't think about. But the more you are stuck in your old place, you will lose a lot of opportunities that are in front of you. The idea is that I'm there as a human, things are changing. The main problem with us Yamahisti is that we don't think that change is something positive.
We are afraid of change.
All the time.
And again, here I'll be back to the point of the comfort zone. Sometimes we are just afraid of leaving our comfort zone. What could push us to leave this place and start to maybe see new opportunities, new challenges that we might be facing? Are we waiting till we are pushed to do that, or it could be our own choice to move on, or to see new choices?
It should be your choice. It should be that you decide that I'm not going to be stuck in this situation. If you are not happy, if this is not fulfilling, if you feel that you are stuck in anything, in work, in a relationship, anywhere, you have to think, am I capable of continuing like this is the life that I want, or I can change this life and change the perspective? I have changed many jobs in my life. I was married and I got divorced. I have a lot of things that are happening. So you have here the mindset whether you are accepting this and this is your life that you want, or you are going to be doing something else. Life is changing all the time. The only problem that we were built...
we are just waiting.
Waiting for things to happen to you. Life is not about that. Life is changing. The pace is very fast, and you have to be very fast in acting towards what's happening, or you will end up being very, very negative, very depressed, and you might kill yourself, really. A lot of people are now feeling depressed, and they have this depression because of this idea of that they are fighting inside themselves not to change. Change is something that is
But how to kill or to minimize the fear? Because as I told you, if you have obligations, if you are responsible for your kids and your family, sometimes you are afraid of doing any changes that might hurt their stability. So the choice here might be a bit scary. So how can we face that? What's your tips here? How can a father or a mother who are responsible on a family here, and they might not be satisfied with what they are doing, but they are having to go on or stay stuck because they are having responsibilities. So what they could be doing?
I always say that in any relationship, if you want it to succeed, you have really to assess the damage that the relationship is happening on you and your kids. If you feel that there is some problem, nowadays we see a lot of people that are getting, for example, divorced because they have only problems that they can't deal with each other. This shouldn't be a case that people would get divorced because they can't handle each other, because normally we are different, two different people, so you cope. You see where's the common ground that we can live with. But there are other things that might be affecting you. It could be in the way you are treated, the way the kids are treated, whatever. So here you have to say that this is the maximum that I can take. This is the maximum that I can give anyway, it's ended. Or you have to say that I will continue in this relationship because it's better for the kids to have, for example, their father in.
This is the point that I want to reach. I would continue with this marriage, for example, or with this job because of the kids. And sometimes deep inside me, I'm not happy or I'm not satisfied, but I have to go on because of my responsibility. And here comes the conflict. So how we can face this conflict here?
I think as I'm not a relationship expert, but I have to say that
you have to, in a job.
You have to think of it in this sense. Being happy or sad is not an indicator for you to leave a job or a relationship. It's how it's affecting you physically and mentally. The moment you feel you are in a situation that is affecting you mentally and physically, that you can't even, for example, go in the morning to dress up to go your work, that you feel these palpitations, that you are angry all the time, these are things that really alarm. So these are the red flags that I am in a bad situation. My body is telling me That's enough. There is something wrong here. This is the time where you have to stop and think and evaluate the job, evaluate the relationship, and see the pros and cons of continuing in this job. For example, if, as you said, in these economic problems that we have, if someone is like, okay, go quit your job, no, this is a big decision now with all what we are facing. But again, what other alternatives that could make me happy? Maybe I would be still doing this job, but I will use my hobby in another thing where I can be doing something else. So it's finding alternatives, not just quitting. Maybe I would be still doing this job, but I will fulfill my happiness in another job. So I would do something that makes me happy. So these are the things that you have to really be focusing on all the time. If I'm stuck in a situation that I can't leave, how can I get my happiness from another job? This is something. If I'm in a relationship that is really physically and mentally draining, that I couldn't even give to my kids, this is an alarm and a red flag that you have to leave this situation.
Finally, Dalia, we want some tips here for trying to work on ourselves in order to be more mature, more accepting ourselves and more accepting what we are doing and trying to be happy, to find the silver lining at the end of the tunnel and search for it.
My first tip, I would say that really people need to do their own homework. Don't only just go to anyone that tells you, I know better than you. No, people can read, people can go and do the research. Everything is there now. So I would advise, number one, study your mind. It's very, very important. It changed my life when I started to really focus and study how your mind is reacting and how a lot of things that you feel are not true even. Your subconscious mind sometimes are telling you something negative that is not there. So you keep believing it, that your mind is telling you, no, it's not. So first, study your mind, understand the role of the subconscious mind, work on yourself in understanding that I'm powerful, I can achieve what I want. If I started to manifest what I believe in, you will achieve it. The only thing is that you have to be consistent, you have to give yourself the time to give yourself this meditation, try to be positive, try to think, not just to be in this loop where you are always acting towards things. So my advice, study your mind, number one, acknowledge that you might be having a problem, work on this problem, be able to change, and actually use all the time this growth mindset where you are actually open for all the opportunities, and change is part of life. Change is not something bad. And nothing in life will continue until we die. Nothing at all.
Of course. Dalia Ashmawy, Executive Communication Coach, thank you so much for being our guest for today. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
And our dear viewers will go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to continue our segments in the Breakfast Show, so stay tuned.